Hey guys, Kevin Downey from Kevin M. Downey. Thanks so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it. This video, I'm going to try to go as fast as I can and not keep you guys. But how we build high-performing sales and business development teams for B2B companies. My agency, what do we do? How do we help companies? Sorry, something's downloaded on the screen. Okay. How do we build high-performing sales and business development teams for B2B companies? What makes us unique in building all of that out for clients? Because it's not just hiring. It's not just resume. Yes, that does come into play. But gosh, it goes to building prospect lists and training reps and how is your sales team structure set up? How do you generate leads? How do you, if you have BDRs, how are you going to move leads to sales? All that kind of stuff. And it's really, really important. And we do all of the training on that process. Whatever your process is, we help train the reps on it. It's part of what we do. So I want to walk through kind of everything involved in our recruiting. Look at USA versus Latin American talent. Latin America is a big part. It's not certainly a majority, but it is a big part compared to most recruiting firms, a big part of what we do for clients, recruit remote talent in Latin America. Video introduction versus assessment, like getting that from candidates. I'm going to show you the difference between that when we're recruiting for clients. I'm going to walk through our programs and pricing, of course, and then how we build prospect lists for clients in B2B. I'm going to show you what that looks like. Building a business development process for your rep, right? Your rep team, whether it's BDRs or sales, right? What does that look like? How do you build a list? How do they do their outreach, right? What's the mechanics of that? What are we trying to achieve? Okay, we're going to look at Monday.com, the CRM that we have a template that we built on Monday.com. I didn't build it, programmer did for me. That is specifically designed for the cold outreach side of your business. So even if you already have a CRM, if you want to keep your reps focused on the cold outreach side, really cool setup, putting cold lists in Monday.com on our template. And we give that to you as part of our recruiting program. It doesn't cost you anything. You have to pay for Monday. But we also have a setup on Google Sheets if you want something free, right? No problem. We have a great setup on Google Sheets. And then finally, I'm going to talk about building a cold email system. I'm going to reference another document here in our knowledge base, show you the 2 tech stacks I build for clients and all that stuff. So first things first, let's talk about sales team structure really fast. So one of the things we are seeing is a trend, a movement in sales teams, specifically in B2B in this case, is reducing the number of salespeople in a company and increasing the number of dedicated business development or sales development reps and cold email that we are doing, maybe some LinkedIn marketing, which I'm not a huge fan of because email blows it away, but that's neither here nor there, that we are doing to drive leads and appointments for sales. Why? Why would we do this in all B2B categories? Well, it's not that it's necessary. It's not required. Right? There's advantages to sales reps doing their own cold outreach sometimes. Certainly, obviously, you know that, right? A lot of people would say, well, that's what salespeople are supposed to do is cold outreach. Maybe. From my point of view, they should be in sales mode. And sales mode only happens when you have a decision maker with a pain point. I talk about that here in our knowledge base, right? Sales is when you have a decision maker with a pain point. Until you're doing that, you're doing business development, right? That's a marketing function done by sales teams. So sales reps in the United States have gotten so expensive. The income requirements for salespeople are getting higher and higher and higher, just like everybody, right? And so our salespeople in B2B and small business and going into mid-market, and again, enterprise companies are different because they can wait. They can hire enterprise salespeople. They can pay them 100 a quarter, 150 base, 175, and they can wait 12 to 18 months to get ROI out of that rep. They don't care. Like they care, but they're dealing with such huge numbers. Small business isn't doing that same way, right? Mid-market even, right? We can't wait a year and a half to get ROI out of our sales team, okay? So in sales team structure, we're saying because these sales reps have gotten so expensive, what we want in our salespeople, both hunters and farmer model sales teams, is we want to drive them leads and appointments as much as possible so that they are either speaking with customers and prospects in the case of farmer sales teams, or they are dealing with prospects exclusively in the case of hunter sales teams. And I'll explain the difference between those if you don't understand. All of the time. They are dealing with leads or appointments all day, every day, or customers. That's it. That's all they're dealing with in sales. because they're too expensive to have sit there and go out and fish for a decision maker with a pain point. It's just too expensive. Can't get ROI out of these reps fast enough. And the truth of the matter is, when you run assessment like we do with Aptive Index on reps in the United States, you actually can tell they don't want to do cold outreach anyway. They're not built for it. That's a different, I'll get into that a little bit. Okay. But sourcing talent. So keep that in mind. Sales team structure. Okay. And the way you're structured as a company, right? Do you have, I just leave it with the end game. I have a client in Texas in the corporate gift promotional product space. Does high-end corporate gift, but also just your promotional product, ad specialty stuff. And he had 7 salespeople. And he was really frustrated. Came to me, watched me on a podcast appearance, and came to me and said, look, I got 7 salespeople. I got 2 who have full books of business. I got 1 young kid with about 25, 30% book of business who's killing it, going after it like crazy. And then I got 4 that are so-so to not doing anything from a prospecting standpoint. And they're just their account managers, and they don't want to prospect. And he said to me, what do I do? And I said, well, I hate to be the Grim Reaper, but if it were my company and it's my money in play, I'm getting rid of 4 salespeople. I'm going to give them the option to do nothing but cold outreach and business development for that one kid, that new kid that doesn't have a full book of business, that's going after it. I keep my 2 that have full books of business. One was a male, one was a female, not that it matters. And then this new kid was going after it hard. And I would get asked those other 4 reps, you want to keep your jobs, you can do lead generation for him. That's it. Well, of course, they don't want to do that. It's an ego kick, right? They hated it. And so he fired 4 reps. Went and got 5, 6 business development reps from Latin America. No, he did hire 1 from the United States. The rest he got from Latin America through us. Went out, we built an entire system for them to do cold outreach and drive nothing but leads and appointments to that one kid, who now has a full book of business, by the way, only 2-3 months removed from that move. And that kid's got a full book of business. Now we took one of those BDRs and we graduated them to sales. So we elevated them. We promoted them to sales, or he did. And now the other reps are doing prospecting for that rep. That rep has nothing but leads and appointments to deal with. And obviously their clients as they get customers as they get them. That's the kind of thing we need to be thinking about in sales team structure in B2B, because the cost of the reps is too high. If they're not doing their business development, especially if they're not that good at it or they're really not going after it, when you get into reps that are 90, 100,000 plus, really hard to justify them doing cold outreach, right? If you're trying to get ROI out of the reps as fast as you can, it's tough. So, sorry, I went off on a diatribe there. Okay, so what we're going to do is go through these items. So let's go through, we recruit United States and Latin America both, and we get both video introduction and assessment. Assessment is in certain circumstances for clients that want that. I'm a big fan of assessment, but from a recruiting standpoint, we have to get video from candidates first, and then we bring in assessment for the client when they want us to, okay? So occasionally a client on a custom recruiting gig will have us do just assessment rather than video. And that's perfectly fine. I love it. But most of the time we're getting video introduction from the candidates. For Latin America, we have to, because we need to gauge English speaking skills, of course. In the case of US candidates, we want more depth from them on their background and experience. What type of sales they've worked in, sales they've done, quota carrying numbers, industries they've worked in, OTE comp requirements, first year comp requirements, very, very important for us to get, because it doesn't make any sense for a rep. Like, you're going to look at somebody that their OTE target is 175 and your job's only going to get to about 80, 85 the first year. Well, then there's no sense talking to that person, right? That candidate. So anyway, so we get that stuff. But let's walk through some candidate dashboards really quick so you can see what we do. So here's a client where we're gathering video introduction, candidate name, city and state, recruiter rating after screening them, video introduction, do they have cold calling experience, resume, contact info, and on the right side by email. I can't show email on video. Email addresses is first year OTE comp requirement. You might be able to see it on one of these screens. Okay, here's one where we're getting assessment. There you can see OTE comp requirement. I've got the emails kind of hidden. Name, city and state, recruiter rating and notes, match percentage on Aptive Index for a BDR role. And I'm going to show you that in a second. Cold calling experience, resume, first year OTE comp requirement. So we're getting that from everybody. We're getting all this stuff from everybody, but either assessment or video. Typically we're getting video first, and then sometimes clients will ask the candidates to do assessment. Some clients don't care about assessment, but some clients go in the direction I go, which is I want assessment from U.S. candidates. And I'm going to show you why. Here's first name or name, country in the case of Latin America recruiting. This is our Latin American dashboard, recruiter rating, video introduction, first year OTE comp requirement, or what they got to make, right, first year, and then resume and all that stuff, okay? So that's what our candidate dashboard looks like. Really quick on this, these are video links. It's Willow. It's just a system we use, a platform we use to get video introduction from candidates. That's all those links are. They're just video introduction. Very valuable because it helps from a screening standpoint, get a lot of information without, sometimes we can't make contact with reps and stuff like that. Okay. And then when we're gathering assessment, I have to go through our programs and pricing quick. When we're gathering assessment, we use Aptive Index. It is the best product in its space. Hands down, nothing close. If you're familiar with the first two in this list, this is going to look really familiar. It's more advanced. The AI is unbelievable in Aptive Index. A lot of these don't have any AI still. This thing is phenomenal. Phenomenal. Best product on the market, hands down. When we are recruiting for sales, excuse me, and we're getting assessment for a client, we are building the profile off of one of 5 profiles in sales: SDR, farmer sales, one call closer, hunter sales, or BDR. I'm not going to dig into these in this video. I talk about them at length in some other videos. BDR, hunter sales, and farmer sales are B2B. One call closer is a B2C sales role, and SDR can be either. It's dealing with inbound leads. BDR is pure outbound in B2B. Okay. So what do these profiles look like? It's so cool. Gosh, you have to take the assessment. If you haven't taken it, it's so neat. It's not specific for sales, by the way. We use it specifically for that, of course. So farmer sales rep, hunter sales rep, BDR. BDR is unadulterated cold outreach, right? Hunter sale, this is somebody who's going out and closing. They're getting paper. They don't manage the customer in the grand scheme of things. They may talk to them once in a while, but they're not doing ongoing sales in the sense of owning a customer base with a customer base. They're not cross-selling, upselling, reselling, filling in inventory, all that stuff. That's what farmer sales are, right? Hunter sales, getting paper, they're done with the customer, more or less. They might touch base with them once a year, every now and then, talk to them, but they're not in an ongoing sales relationship quarterly or more often with that customer base, okay? Farmer sales rep, that's where you're dealing with their full-blown, they got to get the customer and they're managing that customer. They're building a book of business where they're dealing with that customer on an ongoing basis in a sales relationship. They're cross-selling, they're upselling, they're filling in inventory, all that stuff. Very different profiles. BDR, the biggest mistake we see and this is why this is important, the biggest mistake we see in companies is, again, remember, from a sales standpoint, your initial sales person, whether it's you or it's a sales team member, your sales job is either a farmer sales job or a hunter sales job. It's one or the other. It's not both. Okay, it can't be both. So that salesperson that goes out and gets the customer either has an ongoing relationship with the customer base or they don't. That's it. Okay. What we see in B2B is a big problem. Not as bad with farmers because there's an end game to their cold outreach needs. So they're a little bit better on the business development side. We see the epidemic failure in hunter sales model jobs of companies hiring resume and really expensive reps who have sales experience. They've closed. They've sold numbers. Done great. But in a previous job, they were driven leads and appointments, and they get hired into a new job and get this huge base salary, and they don't want to prospect because they're not built for it. They don't want to do it. All right. There's a lot of things that go into that. And companies waste a lot of money on salespeople hiring off of resume. And the rep has great at sales, but they don't want to prospect. They don't want to do business development. They're not built to do business development. That's what this person does. This person's built for it. 50 to 150 outreaches a day. This is the Energizer Bunny. That's what we want in a BDR. Okay. Anyway, so that's what we use assessment for when recruiting in the United States for certain clients. Let's go to our programs really quick and our rate card. So all of our recruiting falls under the Blue Chip Recruiting Program. And gosh, I'm taking too long. Sorry. Blue Chip Recruiting Program. You pay no money up front. You sign proposal. We go out and source the talent, bring them to you, present them to you. Resume, video introduction, first year comp requirement, Recruiter makes their recommendations to you. You interview, you make your hire, we get paid. That's it. You don't want to hire from our candidates that we send to you, we don't get paid. Okay. We have two rates. Our standard rate is $9,500 one-time placement fee. And then we have a 50% off rate of $4,750 for our RTG candidate pool. I referenced this early in the video. So when we're recruiting every day, all day in the United States and Latin America, like I showed you. We get about 100 to 200 candidates a day who want to work remotely from their home office. So perfect for inside sales, business development, all that stuff. We vet them, we screen them, all that stuff. We get all kinds of information about them. You come to us and say, hey, I want to hire an inside sales rep. They can be remote, or I want to hire a BDR. They can be remote. What do you got for me? We got talent coming out of our ears. We can never place the talent that we get, right? We have tons of talent in the United States all day, every day. And then we have a ton in Latin America, 48 countries we cover. If you recruit from that candidate, if we're recruiting from that candidate pool for you, you pay half rate. It's $47.50 one-time placement fee. Again, it is called our RTG candidate pool. It's at the bottom in the footnote here. It should probably be bigger. It means ready to go. These are ready to go candidates. They're remote, ready to go. Okay. That is how we charge for recruiting. You sign a proposal with us. Again, if you don't hire, you don't pay. Okay. Once you pay your invoice, things we build into the program. Custom prospect list if you're B2B, right? One-on-one training with me, build a business development process for you, their cold outreach methodology, what they're going to say, how they're going to say it, how to leave voicemails. And I'm going to go through that with them. We document it all. And then I work with the rep on that with them until they're good to go, right? It's pretty simple stuff. If you have to let a rep go within 60 days or they leave you for whatever reason, we'll replace them at no cost, okay? So that's our blue chip recruiting program. While I am on the sheet, email. I did email for clients for 8 years, sold that book of business to a B2B agency. As part of the deal, I can continue to consult and build infrastructure for clients for email. I just can't manage it for them. It's very easy to do. Management on the email side, I'll show you, is super simple. It takes 15 minutes a week, tops, really. I mean, sometimes it'll take an hour or two a month, 2 hours a month, something like that. But email, high volume email is so critical for B2B, especially certain industries. It's a volume play, and you got to know how to do it and do it right. This is turnkey setup of everything. I take care of everything. The infrastructure, the tech side, list, 50,000 contact list loaded into your account in your campaigns. Email copywriting, subject lines, everything. Turn it on, and I train you how to manage it. That's it. It's a one-time setup fee. You only owe me once. It's $2,800 up front, $2,800 30-day net 30, and you're looking at ongoing costs of $225 to $525 a month, depending on the infrastructure. Okay, I'll get into that in maybe a minute. Building prospect lists for reps. What I'll do at the end is I'll go through the email marketing. I'll show you what the structure looks like. It's on a different document here in our knowledge base. I'll show you the two structure options, what it looks like, what it costs, month over month, and we'll look at a campaign and just click really quick and show you what it looks like on, let's say, Apollo. Okay. Anyway, building prospect lists, we use Apollo. I'm going to show you that business development process for reps. So I want to talk about that quick. And I'm going to show you the CRM template that we have on Monday.com that you can use. We give it to you for free. You just have to pay for Monday. If you're a recruiting client for us, we give it to you for free. It's amazing. It's built specifically for business development and sales reps doing cold outreach before you would actually put them in your CRM. So that the reps can't play around with email with these prospect lists. They can't do any of that stuff. Their job's to call. And it's a very structured, organized way to keep track of a cold list and those prospects we're calling on. Okay? All right, prospect list really quick. If you're not familiar, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. This is easy. We build everything for clients on Apollo. This would be an example of a tree service company list, for example, for a direct mail printing company. You can do all kinds of things on Apollo to build targeted lists, right? You can use keywords, industries, employee count, annual revenue. Do they have, a salesperson in the company? Do they have an HR person in the company? All the titles that you need to reach out to. Very, very easy to do, right? I've built about 1,000 lists for clients over the last decade or so. Apollo's the best system for the price tag out there. It's simple, works very well. It's extremely accurate. But yeah, that's how we build prospect lists. Okay. When we're talking about business development process for reps, here's business development 101. Basically, it's the starting point is what is our, business development process, what does our prospect list size look like? So for example, first I want to look at it and say, well, are you going to consider high volume cold email? And we're only going to consider it if the list is big enough. For example, let's just say your prospect list was just this, 1,500 people. That's not a cold email thing. That's a rep thing. Totally. Right? Another one. And if it's not in the tens of thousands of contacts, preferably over 50,000, 60,000, it's not really an email thing. That's a rep thing. All right? Like we look at lawn care. This is the same company. Okay? Who wants to target lawn care companies? Lawn and landscaping. Right? That's 8,800 contacts, right? However many companies, couple 3,000 companies. That's a rep thing. That's not an email thing. Okay. But if you look at, let's say let's say we're targeting, you might fall into this category. You probably do. You're a B2B owner with at least one salesperson and you fall within a massive keyword set. Sorry, this thing's going wonky on me. Okay. Let's look at our prospect list. Owners with sales and keywords. That means you have at least one salesperson in the company and you fall into one of 150-ish keywords that we use to identify business-to-business companies. This would be our cold outreach list, for example, right? If we're talking about this, email is going to be part of what we do. Absolutely. Cold email's got to be part of what we do. It's too many people. 281,000 with 1 to 500 employees in one of these 150 keywords. And you've got one salesperson in the company, at least one sales type person of some sales title, right? That's our target audience, right? We deal with small business to mid market. We target just owners, right? This is our target list. You got to use high volume email as part of your infrastructure here. Okay. So from a business development process standpoint, the first thing we're going to look at is, does email come into play? How big is your prospect list? And what does your sales team structure look like? Are your sales reps built to do their own cold outreach? Do you want them to do your cold outreach? Do you have dedicated BDR or SDR team doing cold outreach? Okay, all those things. Okay, but in general, if we're talking about cold outreach to a cold list, prospect list, first and foremost, activity breeds business. That is one of the biggest problems in B2B these days. Reps aren't making enough calls, salespeople in particular, right? They're not making enough calls. They're playing around on LinkedIn. They're playing around with the manual email. They're playing around with their CRM. They're waiting for leads to come in. They get this thing or that thing that gets them sidetracked. And we have no dedicated time in a lot of cases that they're doing cold outreach like they should. They are paid to do that in a lot of cases, and they're not doing it. So activity breeds business. That's number one. Okay, what is business development and what is it not? Business development is not, again, playing around on those things. It's either phone plus voicemail or boots on the ground. That's it. Not manual cold email, because I can automate that. I don't need a rep to do that. Plus, we should not be cold emailing from our main domain anyway. All right? It's either phone and voicemail from an inside perspective, inside reps, or it's boots on the ground. It's outside prospecting. That's it. That's all business development should be. Okay? For reps. Can you generate leads from webinars and trade shows and LinkedIn marketing and all kinds of stuff and email? Sure, absolutely. But those aren't rep things. That's not what reps should be doing. I mean, maybe they go to the trade shows, I guess. But they should not be doing that day to day. They shouldn't be doing those other things day to day. They should be calling. Okay. I went through Apollo and building prospect lists. Process when I build for clients is very simple, and I have to work from the sales team structure first. Are we dealing with dedicated BDRs, or are we dealing with salespeople doing their own cold outreach? So we tweak process a little bit in that regard. But typically our process is we have to identify a decision maker. We have to identify whether or not they have a pain point. We have to offer a solution, and then we are going to send them information about our products or services to them for them to review with a call to action to then schedule a call with sales. However, we want the rep to send that email and keep them on the phone and keep the needle moving, whether they're BDR or sales, to try to move that process along on that first call as much as possible. We call it while I have you. So if I go through this real simple, I would say, let's use direct mail as an example. I like direct mail. Okay. Right. Johnny, hey, Kevin Downey from XYZ Printing Company. We do direct mail for tree service companies. We do almost exclusively tree service companies. Okay. And I was just calling to see if, you could use some more business, first of all, but make the phone ring a little more. But really what I want to do is I want to get you over some information on our program and pricing, right? Our rate card for direct mail in the local area. But also we have one of the best performing tree service ads that we've ever had in our history. I want to send it to you and show you what it looks like. It's great. Dynamite. Client loves it. It's killing it. Okay. I want to send that over to you. Have you take a look at it. I'm going to show you our rate card, our service area, what we do, all that stuff. Printing, timeline, zones we cover, whether we do EDDM, all that stuff. Okay. And then I'm going to give you a link to my sales team's calendar or my calendar. Right. If I was a sales rep, I would say that. And after you look everything over, you want to schedule a call, schedule a call. How does that sound? Johnny says, I want to see that ad. Great. Johnny, I'm sending that over to you. Johnny at abccompany.com. Johnny, I'm sending it now. Can you do me a huge favor? Hang on the phone a minute. And can you just check your email and let me know you got it? Now, this is a key point in rep because we're really doing the same thing we do with cold email up to that point. But with a rep, what I want them to do is dig in at that point and gather intel. We use while I have you or a variation of it. Johnny, great. You got that? Oh, great. Hey, while we're waiting really quick, while you pull that up, while I have you, let me ask you a quick question. What are you doing currently in terms of marketing and advertising that's working for you? I'm just curious, right? I'm going to dig in and find out, are you doing direct mail? Are you doing EDDM? Do you have a source already for all that stuff? What advertising is working for you? What's not working for you? How is your sales team doing? Whatever, your people doing? Whatever, right? I'm going to dig in, all that stuff. And I want to try to move them and move them and move them. Okay. And that's what we teach reps to do. And again, email has the advantage of volume. In terms of lead generation, reps are never going to compete with high volume email. It's not possible. But what reps do have the advantage of is that when they're doing cold outreach, they can do this. They can keep them on the phone and move the needle. And that's important. It's very important. Okay. The other thing, and then again, that's sales versus business development. There's slight variations in what you do at this point with things, and follow-up changes a little bit between those two strategies, whether a BDR is doing all the cold outreach to set up calls for sales or generate leads for sales, or is it the salesperson doing their own cold outreach? So slight differences there. Okay. But follow-up, now I'm okay with email. Reps should not be sending manual cold email on that initial outreach. It's all phone and voicemail. All. They should never be sending manual cold emails. That's a waste of time. I can automate all that. I don't need reps to do that. It's a waste of time. The other thing it does is it creates really bad habits in reps. And when I talked about that earlier with this failure of hunter sales models reps in particular to do cold outreach, it's because they got a pass during COVID and all this time they've been allowed to jerk around with their CRM and LinkedIn and manual email and all that crap. And they got rid of the habit of calling every day. And we have to change that in companies. And that's part of what I do when I come into companies. I change that. As long as the owner wants it changed. Some owners maybe don't want to offend their salespeople. They're a little bit nervous, for lack of a better phrase, of pushing the envelope with their sales team or certain sales reps. But there are some guys and gals that'll be like, yeah, whatever you want to tell them. And if they don't like it, they can leave. Sometimes we got to go down that path. Your job is to call. Manage your customer base. It is not to jerk around on LinkedIn and your CRM. Like, yes, you need those things for certain things, but that's not what you should be doing day to day. That's not how you prospect as a rep. That's all stuff we can automate. Okay. So follow up, I don't mind email and LinkedIn, right? That's part of follow-up process once we've generated the lead, but not until that point. Right? Customers, deal with customers by email all the time. I use video constantly with clients. Okay. But we don't let reps send manual cold emails and manual messages on LinkedIn to prospect. It's a waste of time. Okay. We can automate all that. Okay. Last couple of things. And oh my gosh, I'm going to 30 minutes here. This is way too long for everybody. Let's look at Monday really quick, voicemail, and then Monday, and then cold email. So, voicemail is just like subject line in email, cold email, by the way, great segue. You want to be vague enough to get the call back, right? We're never pitching in voicemail. We are never cold voicemail. We are never pitching in cold email subject lines ever. If you're doing that, you're doing it wrong. Okay. And all we're trying to do is get a call back. That's it. What we won't do is we don't lie, right? We're not deceptive. We're just vague, right? So in the case of my rep, as an example, calling to see if you could use someone who could generate leads for you or your sales team. My name's Leo. Call me back, 913-733-0780. That's what we want in voicemail with reps, okay? When we're doing cold outreach. Not when we're dealing with customers or clients or all that stuff. Obviously, we don't do that. We can get descriptive in voicemail with video with all kinds of different things. I'm just talking about pure cold outreach, business development. Okay? So, all right. So that was the segue into email. So let's just take a look at, and remember, we do not do any tracking. When we're dealing with cold email, proper cold email structure, we do not care about any data regarding open rates, anything. We are trying to elicit a response. That's all we're trying to do, and that's the only number we care about. How many leads did I get for the money that I spent? So let's say in a day I send, I don't know, whatever the number is. Like on some days we can generate over 20 leads on 6,000 emails. That would be an exceptionally good day, right? Bad day, 1 or 2 leads, right? And it all depends on a variety of different things, right? But let's just take an example. If we got 220, I'm going to use fuzzy math here, but 225 into 125,000 emails, I've got 0.2 of a penny almost per email, right? And so, if it takes, 6,000 divided by 20, let's say I got 20 leads, that's a lot, right? So now 300 emails times 0.2, I'm doing this in real time. Yeah, about 60 cents to generate a lead. Like top performing campaigns with cold email, right? You're like, let's say it costs us let's say 225 a month divided by 20. So it's a little over $10. So let's say it costs us a little over $10 to send 6,000 emails. I generate 1 lead, right? I'm $10 a lead. Simple math, right? The more leads I generate on 6,000 emails, the lower that cost per lead goes down. When done correctly, nothing will be cold email. Right? Nothing, but it's got to be done correctly. Most companies don't do it correctly. So the biggest thing I do when doing cold email setup for a client is we're going to look at, we can look at ours really quick as an example, right? This is what a lot of companies get wrong, right? This is an experiment, by the way. I would take the video out of that, but all we're doing is block style copy with a very simple question. The exact same thing we do on a phone. Johnny, do you have this pain point? If you do, we can help you solve it. This is what I want you to do next. I want you to reply. I'm going to send you this PDF, our rate card, our pricing, our program information, our catalog, our samples, just like I talked about the direct mail sample. Whatever it is, I got this. I'm going to send it to you. And then if you want to jump on a call, we'll jump on a call. That's all we're doing in cold email. We're doing the front end of a cold outreach pitch. We are not marketing to people for the sake of marketing. We are not trying to drive them to links. That doesn't work, number one. Number two, it's not good for the health of your infrastructure because the most valuable thing in cold email is a reply. That's engagement. That engagement helps hold reputation on the domains. That's why the email needs to be structured that way. Okay, block style copy is because it forces people to read it. If you spread it all out, then they jump down, right? In this case, we do it intentionally for this test. But generally, our email would look like that. That's it. That's it. Cold email works in every industry. I hear from owners all of the time. We tried email, didn't work. We tried email 3-4 times, didn't work. Well, you did it wrong. I've never seen email fail. Email works every time. You just got to do it correctly. And sometimes it takes a little testing to figure out the messaging to generate the response from your target audience. Also, our expectations of response need to be tempered by who are we reaching out to and with what. There is a big difference between pitching an add-on for something an owner needs in small business versus a replacement targeting enterprise company employees. Those are two totally different things. So we have to temper our expectations. So like if you're a SaaS product and you're going after enterprise companies, which are all employees, you're not going to be targeting any owners, right? For the most part. You're targeting all employees, right? With a SaaS product that they already have a solution from a competitor. You're asking them to make a change in a business that they don't even own. They're not going to, the chances of their interest level are very low. Doesn't mean we can't pull them out. It's just hard. It's not their business. Number one, they don't care how much the company makes in most cases because it's not how they're paid. Their priority is job security, especially now. And you're asking them to change something out. So they're taking a risk on recommending a change to something they already have that works in most cases. It would be like XYZ CRM coming to me, and there's 1,500 CRMs in the world, coming into me and saying, hey, we want to do cold email. We know that people want our product, and we want to go after everybody that's on HubSpot and Salesforce with more than 2,000 employees. Good luck with that. Like, you want these people to change something that already works? They're going to risk their job and reputation to go to what? What do you have that's so unique and so great? You better have something dynamite. Let me tell you, that's totally different than going after owners in small business and into lower mid-market with a change that's going to help make them more money, save them time, make them money, save their people time, whatever. Because everything comes down to time and money. That's everything. Everybody in cold outreach, everybody's protecting two things, their time and their money, right? All you need to do is think, and an owner, if you got an add-on, they don't have to change anything. They don't have to replace anything. All they're doing is adding something to accentuate or increase revenue or do whatever. That's a totally easier pitch than, again, a replacement going after enterprise employees. And I'm using the two extremes here, by the way, okay? So understand that when we talk about cold email and infrastructure and performance, who are we targeting and with what? Matters a ton, okay? All right. Take way too long here. What was the last thing I needed to cover here really quick? And I've taken way too long here. We talked about cold email. You know what I didn't get to? Is cold email system structure. I think, did I cover that already? I can't remember if I did. Again, I think I did. Apollo Plus, email API, $225 a month, brute force tactic, works very well. Going to run into problem with Google Workspace and Gmail accounts eventually. Smart Lead and Mail Read if you're looking at more long-term structure in the way that you build it, the way you framework the domains and email addresses and tie everything together. Talking $5.25 a month. If you replace Smart Lead with Email Bison, now you're talking about like $900 a month. But really good setup for long-term. And you can layer these things as much as you want for cold email. And it's dynamite. Okay. Monday.com. That was the last thing I was going to cover, and then we'll get out of here. Monday.com. This is a cold outreach CRM template that we built for clients that want something specific to their cold outreach. So you're not going to put your prospect list in your CRM. You want to use something specific for the cold outreach side, whether it's your BDR team, your sales team, whatever it is. Why did we create this? Well, it's great for organizing cold lists and organizing by lead status the different leads. And they go into these different tabs. There's 8, technically 7 because cold prospect is the list raw. But then you have 7 here, okay? So now my reps can organize that, they don't need to follow, you don't need anything with meetings set or clients or customers, but if you left a voicemail, you want to follow up with that list in a certain day or days. You have a time where you have some side time. You're going to go get missing or bad data and fill it in. Great. Go to those people and do all that. Follow-up required. These are good calls. You need to hit them again. That's a list you're going to be calling again like every 3-4 days. That is how we want to organize these things. And the reason why it's good to keep them off your main CRM is because it keeps them focused on the cold outreach side. Now, we may generate a lead or a meeting and we move that to the CRM that we already have, right? But we don't have to. But it keeps reps focused on calling. It keeps them focused on that and not doing manual email, not trying to do sequences in the CRM, which they have no business doing. That's what this is all about. It does cost money. Monday requires 3 seats at 28 a piece, something like that. So that's the minimum. It is Monday has a lot of use cases. So I love it and I think it's great, but some clients don't want to go down this path. We do have a free Google Sheets type of thing like this that we can put your cold list in if you need it. But if you want to put the cold list we build for you in your CRM and have the rep on the CRM, great. Do that. Okay. All right. I got to get out of here. Took too long. Here's our rate cards. Again, we went through that. Again, for recruiting, we don't charge anything up front. You sign proposal. We go out and source the talent, bring in the talent, you interview. Your recruiter works with you. They give you the talent. You interview, make your hire. Then we get paid. You don't hire, we don't get paid. It's that simple. Okay. If you have any questions, reach out to us. Schedule a call is in the upper right-hand corner of the website. You want to take Aptive Index, take it. Oh my gosh, it's going to blow you away. It takes 8 to 10 minutes. It's going to send you a PDF of what your profile looks like on Aptive Index and a big, long description. And the accuracy will blow your mind. It's amazing. Anyway, 40 minutes, way too long. Guys, thanks for being here and taking the time. Really appreciate it. I want to wish you the best of luck in business from myself and my entire team. Hope you're doing well. Have a great 26, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.